The term accountability and the U.S. military are like oil and water, but there are very few times that these actually mix, and that's because this senior chief E8 equivalent for you guys that are non-Navy has been busted down in court-martial, I would say appropriately so. Some people think this should be more strict, but let's dive right into it. Navy Times covers this and says, Command Senior Chief convicted for unauthorized Wi-Fi on her ship. By the way, for you guys that do not know, there is a lot of issues with connectivity when you're on a moving floating vessel where the ability to obtain internet is quite hard. You know, a lot of people, maybe Air Force, would never relate to that. It says the former command senior chief of the littoral combat ship Manchester's Gold Crew pleaded guilty at a court-martial in March to charges that she installed an unauthorized Wi-Fi system aboard ship and then lied about it to superiors, according to records obtained by Navy Times. It says before her trial, Naval Service Force Pacific, or SURPAC, quietly relieved then Senior Chief Grizel Marrero from her leadership position aboard Manchester in September due to loss of confidence, the command said in a statement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm talking about. How many times? I don't even have enough fingers. I don't even have enough hairs to tell you and count how many times the U.S. military's public affairs statements and what they do is they just put out loss of confidence. And reasons like this, which are security concerns, which are favoritism concerns, which are all these leadership concerns that come with this, because there's a lot of layers to this, that essentially I would say that we probably should get more times like this where we actually see people being held accountable, because that would instill something called trust in the U.S. military, where people from the bottom and the people to the top might actually believe that people are being held accountable when they do things that are wrong. I believe people can mess up and rebound, but she honestly had lied about these documents of what was being done, and it is just so sweet. Marrero, whose online biography indicates a background in Navy intelligence, declined comment for this report. Now, just to put this in perspective, it shows here on her biography that she has a bachelor's degree and master's degree in business administration with a concentration in information security and digital management. I will tell you that anybody is going to Google her name now and be like, you have all these qualifications. You're going to have, it looks like she has 16 years of service based on the 4 hash marks that are there. She has an information dominance warfare, which is, by the way, an intelligence warfare device that would show she had some form of confidence. So not only does she have military credentials and tenure in time, she also has civilian credentials and with her education here. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is not like, let's just see if she's just a total idiot. She knew. She had to have known. There is no way you're in intel and you don't look at this and say, I'm doing something a little sketchy. And I will explain at the end of this as to why this maybe was not caught or why there might have been issues with being able to find this out any sooner. She was sentenced to reduction in rank to E7 in March, according to the trial summary obtained by Navy Times. Marrero wasn't the only high-level relief aboard Manchester's Gold Crew last year. The Navy also ousted the second in command of the ship's Gold Crew, Commander Matthew Yoakley, in May of 2023. The reliefs of Marrero and Yoakley were not related, according to SURPAC, which declined to provide further details regarding the reasons for Yoakley's ouster. At a special court-martial earlier this year, Marrero pleaded guilty to willful dereliction of duty charge specifications. According to her charge sheet, Marrero failed to safeguard the Manchester against operational security risk when she set up the secret Wi-Fi. I am not an intelligence person, but I will tell you, someone on this would understand how signals being emitted out from the ship and data being exchanged there, if there could be any level that the adversaries could maybe obtain that information, they probably would. And obviously, by the way, there has to be serialized gear and maintenance and the people that know the systems are working on to understand the information that could be coming in or going out is pretty basic understanding here. They say such Wi-Fi systems are generally banned aboard Navy ships because of cybersecurity concerns. Marrero willfully coordinated the procurement, installation, use of an unauthorized, unapproved Wi-Fi system on board the ship between March 2023 and August 2023, according to her charge sheet. And it says charge sheets state that she willfully failed to share a commanding officer's suggestion box comment from a crew member about the Wi-Fi system with the then commanding officer of the Manchester's Gold Crew in June 2023. And just so some of you guys might not understand what they're talking about here, there is typically a commanding commanding officer suggestion box and a command master chief, or the senior enlisted leader, senior chief spot. That's what she is, because they're on a much smaller vessel. So essentially what they do is they can be submitted to either or that you feel comfortable with. You don't have to put your name on it, but essentially they're submitted and they could be anonymous. And someone probably was like, I know you have that. Now, this senior chief was not going to say, hey, sir, my commanding officer, yeah, they're asking about my Wi-Fi. That was probably someone saying like, I'm giving you the little heads up that what you're doing is bad, but she probably still continued to do it, is what I would speculate or assume in the circumstance where maybe a junior sailor was actually looking to be a little bit nice about this. And usually these comments are to better the experience of the crew and make sure that there are positive impacts to actually improve the conditions of the command. She pleaded not guilty to an obstruction of justice charge, but was found guilty at trial according to the trial summary record. That charge involved an incident near Naval Base Guam in August 2023, where Marrero altered a data usage image on a Chiefs Mess Starlink account to reflect less data usage, which she did to influence or impede pending criminal or disciplinary actions against another Navy member whose name is redacted on the charge sheet copy provided to Navy Times. So she photoshopped this to show, I wasn't using my data from my Starlink. Do you not think that there are investigators that probably could, I don't know, subpoena the records of your Starlink account for a court-martial hearing? Probably pretty easy. Didn't really think that far ahead, even though you've got this level of experience. I'm not an idiot either, but I would say you're allowed to make one dumb mistake in the military, but when you go and make that second one, like not putting the commanding officer on awareness of that submission of that suggestion box, or the third step of you then lying and faking about this document, yeah. And on top of that, I have to tell you guys that the Starlink is not cheap. To let you know, it looks like the highest plan here is boats, which is best for maritime, emergency response, and mobile business, has a mobile priority of 50 gigs at $250 a month, 1 terabyte at 1,000, and mobile priority at 5 terabytes. So most likely she was not buying this alone. If I could be honest with you guys, I would probably say there are several other chief petty officers probably linked up with this. And I would love to see if maybe other people are going to be dealing with any, repercussions of joining on this Wi-Fi bandwidth here. So just putting that out there. I don't think it was a secret that only the senior chief knew, and maybe only another person knew as well. SurfPac spokesman Commander Arlo Abrahamson said to Navy Times that the other sailors were also disciplined in connection to the unauthorized Wi-Fi, but he declined to provide further details. Marrero also pleaded guilty to 2 false official statement charge specifications that involved her telling the CIA that there was no Wi-Fi aboard the Manchester, according to her trial summary. So with this, she was busted down to E7, Chief Petty Officer from Senior Chief Petty Officer, and is probably going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars because of Wi-Fi. This is the most expensive Wi-Fi bill you could ever have. So I know connectivity on the ship is not the best, but I'm assuming she probably could have had some pretty good connection with her level of the ship and being on there as the senior enlisted. So I'm surprised why she would have needed to go this far to maybe go on Instagram or something like that. Like, was it really worth it? And it does appear that her character has been attacked as not being the best as well by several people on Reddit that have said they've worked with this individual and said this is kind of up to par with what they've experienced personally. Sam Hefrag says, I'm Air Force with 3 joint assignments under my belt. She is hands down the worst staff NCO tier person I've ever come across in my 20 plus year career. She infected the other chiefs in the command we worked with and almost single-handedly made them focus on volunteering for BS rather than focusing on the actual mission. Abrasive, disregarded ideas that weren't her own, and embarrassingly unaware of what our actual mission priorities were. At the time, I was an E7 and she, E8, kept trying to pull my sailors for volunteer BS when I had them tasked to mission requirements, and at first I tried being diplomatic and collaborative. She wouldn't have it, even though she was my division senior enlisted leader. I ended up telling her to just stay away because our 1-star needed them doing this than petting dogs at the animal shelter. F her. Also routinely bragged about supporting ST2 as a combo troop. Got it. You got them Wi-Fi. Now this revelation really makes sense. Ghost5T7 says, I knew this B tried to D me over by claiming I refused to do a task, had brought me up up to the senior enlisted advisor. Would have been a bad start at the command, except for another first class thing. I absolutely did it. She had also tried to say she had to do the tasking, so tried to take credit for my work. I'm so not surprised. LMFO, I worked under her when she was a fresh E7, not chief to me anyways. She also regularly hung out with an E4 that got mapped. Go figure, at least there's some karmic justice. Now, like I said, I'm not an intel expert, so I cannot talk about this communications or any of those things in an expert level. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, but from reading online from people that do work in these fields, the reason why this was able to go through and not really be questioned so much is because the people that are on board are aware of signals that they would be tracking on the ship, and that these scanners, in order to obtain and try to check for if there's any signal, they'd have to know that they'd be looking for Wi-Fi to be able to do that specifically. But under the assumption nobody would be this dumb to do that, people typically weren't doing that. So I'm assuming this got out because junior people heard about it, maybe because nobody can keep a secret. So if she kept it to herself, she would have probably been okay, but that is here nor there. But I would love to bring this topic to you, Intel communications experts. What do you think about this and the cybersecurity issues that come with that? And then secondly, I also want to ask, what are your thoughts on the reduction of rank to E7? Do you think that is appropriate, or do you think there should be some kind of further judgment to bring the rank down further, or some kind of, I guess, court-martial that would have put her in the brig at some point or something like that? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, because I'm not a specialist in this, and I know some of you guys are. But as always, if you guys like what I cover on the channel, hit me up over on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.